Good morning, Menifee. We're out here at Mount San Jacinto College, and we're going to learn about the Makerspace facility that they have here. And we are here with Joyce Johnson, who is the Dean of Education. Explain that to me, what your title is.
Okay, so that I am the Executive Dean of Career Education, Workforce Development, and Nursing Allied Health programs here at the Mount San Jacinto College.
Okay, so you oversee the Makerspace program, correct?
I do, and we call it our Eagle Makerspace. So we definitely are excited to have you here this morning.
Well, thank you for having us. First of all, could you just kind of explain the concept? What is Makerspace for people that don't know?
Well, just to give you a little background, a makerspace is what we envision is an innovative way to bring our think tankers together. It allows students, it allows others to come in and take an idea, concept of an idea, and develop it. And as you'll see shortly, there is a plethora of opportunities here with materials and things for those that have an idea to come in here and draw it out, think it out, and then create it. So Makerspace is just that, a space for innovative makers.
So is this designed to help students develop their skills in the trades, or is it just all kinds of education?
It's a little of everything.
Okay.
It does allow students, for those in the particular trades, to come in and develop themselves. It allows us to partner with our businesses as well that has a concept, and that concept is usually brought in here, discussed with our students, and then through the collaboration and partnership, then they're allowed to develop things. So it also allows us to integrate hands-on activities and making into our curriculum in various disciplines here in the career education unit.
Okay, so are any of the students eligible to come use this? Is it tied into a class, or do they have to sign in, or how does that work?
It's both. We have our student clubs on campus that have ideas that want to come in here and explore those ideas. We have faculty that ties this into their coursework, so those students are allowed to come in. We do open it up to our community. We had, well, I think it was in November, we had 200 students from the Santa Rosa Academy come over and explore here. Okay. So it's a combination of both.
So let's take a look at some of the equipment and some of the things that you have here.
What you're looking at here is a 3D model of a skull. And this was created with our anatomy students. They wanted to get the real deal and feel in 3D dimension as they're studying their anatomy and physiology. And so they had an assignment to really look at the skull in very detail. And so they brought that concept in here, and here they were allowed to come in and use a 3D maker, and they were actually able to create what they were studying.
Wow.
So we have with us Tamara, who's our Makerspace specialist here, who's going to give us a little interest of what's going on right here.
So this printer right here, number one, is actually printing a vertebrae that we scanned with our 3D scanner. And then this is the finished product here. And it needs to be cleaned. And we're doing it for our anthropology department, and we're printing out all of them so that the students can actually hold them and each have a model in their hand. They gave us one bone, and we're just reproducing them consistently. They are coming out in blue, however we can paint them and do whatever we want to make them look like actual bones. So we call this process demystifying 3D printing because a lot of people are intimidated by 3D printing. But really all it is, it's a plastic filament made up of starch and plastics and things like that. It's heat melted through an extruder, through this here, which is about 200 degrees, and then it's cooled very rapidly through these fans, which are here and here. The motor operates the axis here, is on XYZ axis. So what the computer does, it takes that information and translates it into your object, okay? It's not that difficult, actually. All of the work is already done, and it's put into the computer, and then it makes your object. So, to answer all of the amazing questions, it melts it, it forms it, and then it cools it. And it builds it in little layers, one right on top of each other.
Wow.
Okay. much like you would do with frosting on a cake. So this is where we keep the students' new prints. As things come off the 3D printers, they have a chance to put them here, keep working on them. Some may come off bright green, but then they have a chance to paint it and make it a little more interesting. So it's not just done when it comes off a printer. You can see here they have printed a mask. It was purple, but then they're creating it in a really cool silver color. The Wolverine claws look like this when they come off the plate, but over there on the our display case they have a completed set of Wolverine claws. This is Boba Fett. Who doesn't love Boba Fett? But he's actually an air cannon. All of his parts were 3D printed here, including the air cannon, except for the interior parts. He does fire glitter. He runs about 60 psi and then makes a fantastic explosion. So he's a fun little piece here, created right here in the Makers. Oftentimes they go to a site called Thingiverse. They get inspired by that site. They take something off of there and then they recreate it on their own. So some of the things you can find right there on Thingiverse, it's kind of like Pinterest for 3D nerds. That's what I like to call it. It's kind of a black hole. So if Alice were to fall in, that's where she'd find herself. But you can take it and then make it larger, make it smaller, do something exciting with it. So what you would find, for instance, is this would just be a badge that would say Ravenclaw, and it would just be plain. This student printed it in this beautiful iridescent blue, painted it, and then made it into a pin that they could wear. So it takes it to the next level, and what the student does with their creativity and their excitement is up to them. So there you go. Some of our students do create their own things through CAD software, and then they print them here, and we have a lot of students who do that on their own.
I want to introduce you to Hal. Hal Edgehill is our Makerspace specialist here in our eGirl Makerspace that kind of oversees the activities in here, and he's going to show us our button makerspace here.
Yes, yes. Button making is actually a very popular activity in here. It's a process that does not take a lot of technical knowledge or experience in that. Button making is something that can be done very shortly using existing technology out there, photocopies. What they'll do is they'll use this apparatus over here, starting with a paper cutter. The buttons in that are about 3 inches in diameter in that, and they're able to first cut the piece of paper to the exact specifications for the buttons. Then they go ahead and they get set up with the button maker itself and with the backing and then the plastic over the top, and it just in just about 10 seconds they compress the parts together and come up with a finished product. So it can be something that touts makerspace like this, or it can be a specific project. Okay, it would not be a makerspace if we did not have tools. So we've got a wonderful selection here for the students in that to utilize in whatever their projects. We've got everything from pliers and sandpaper to heat guns and heck, even just plain old tape. Tape and glue. Glue is a very popular option here. So like I said, we have all these right here in the space so that as the students are working on their projects, the way students work is that their object is not always fully planned out. So what they will do is as they go through and they start working with a 3D printed object, they'll all of a sudden decide, let me do a little bit of paint. Oh, maybe I need to do a little bit of sanding. Like I say, we provide all of those tools and that at the ready so that they can create essentially whatever it is that they decide to create, even though they may not know about it at the very start.
So you've seen several areas here in the makerspace. We want to conclude or end here with Hal telling us our finished products over here. So take us through a couple of these finished products.
Okay, this is our most proud corner in the whole room. These are products that students have created and have decided to share with us and the rest of the community. These are all objects that have been made by hand, most of them right here in the makerspace itself. Some of them, well, each one actually has an interesting story. This one in particular, we get a kick out of it. It was a skull that was being 3D printed, and it failed. It printed up to a point, and the top of the head is gone. And the student was all dejected in that. And then she started to think about it. And then she printed a top hat to go with it. So, like I say, it's about innovation and, you know, dealing with failure, because we actually encourage failure. It's a great learning tool in here, and the students pick up on that very quickly. All of these objects, the wand itself here, oops, sorry. The wand itself, this was assembled out of 3 or 4 parts, and the young gentleman that built it, and that took him the better part of a month to build this. Pride and joy. It's sanded smoother than any machine could possibly do. So like I say, the students get into this and they start working with their objects, and it becomes a great source of personal success by the time they finish. And when they do finish it, then they're all of a sudden starting to eye the rest of the room going, okay, what next? What else can I do?
Let me introduce Ivante Simmons, who's our Director of Career and Workforce Programs. And Ivante is going to share with us some exciting upcoming events that Mount San Jacinto will be putting on. Ivante.
Yes, good morning. So on February 12th, which is just next week, we have our inaugural ribbon cutting for the Makerspace, and we also have a mobile career center that we've customized from chassis up to address career and employment services for students who aren't able to come on campus. So we have a mobile career center that also will be on campus on the 12th, and we'll have a red ribbon cutting showcasing the Makerspace here and the mobile bus center. The red ribbon cutting is open to the public. It starts at 11 a.m. We'll be conducting Makerspace tours and the mobile bus center tours at approximately 12:30.
Great. Well, thank you, Dean Johnson, and everyone who has come on camera and told us about this great Makerspace. We're looking forward to the grand opening, and we will see you tomorrow on Good Morning Menifee.